Alrighty, we're going to see how this goes. Hollow Knight Silksong. Boosh. I'm recording this on a Switch 2. This is directly... I think it's not quite coming in at 4K, but that's mostly just to avoid some lag. I'm using my Shadowcast, recording directly to my screen. I think... So I've played for about 2 hours, 20 minutes, but for this I want to start at the beginning so that you get like a full overview. I'm going to do a lot of commentary stuff, but it's very gameplay focused. Not as many cutscenes as the last game I played here on my channel, Metal Gear. They see your beauty, so frail, so fine. They see your peace woven of faith and toil. They forget your heart, bound in slumber and servitude. When you wake, they shall see your truth. A beast's nature, bare to all. From Farloom's Folly by the conductor Romino. Oh yeah, he writes good stuff. Let's jump into the high budget stuff. Expensive cutscene. So the creator, the artist that created, there's only a couple of people that really made this. The artist that designed all this stuff was a animator. I don't know what he worked on though. Not entirely sure. So that's Hollow Knight's nail. I didn't finish Hollow Knight. Too hard. I won't finish this. Too hard. But it's absolutely gorgeous. I'll watch a playthrough. I don't want to say I won't finish it. I'll say that I'm not sure if I can finish it. I like that it just drops you pretty immediately into gameplay. There's not a lot of thinking around. Farloom. Or is it Parloom? Pretty sure it's Parloom. No, it's Farloom. So your character just lays there until you... I think you have to actually, like, move. Nope. I didn't move anything. Friend. But they want to communicate. That's interesting. The interact button should have been, don't you think, the attack button to use the sword? By the way, is that the nail? Somebody in comments, can let me know. I know very little about the lore of Hollow Knight, and I'm sure that there's somebody out there that knows all the lore and is like, oh, I want to see like Trent play this. I don't know if anybody's like that, but I'm sure you've already watched gameplay videos of this. I'm going to point out from a developer standpoint all the crazy bonkers, like nutso shit that they do. For instance, having these little bits of grass that kind of sink a little bit when you step on them. This requires a collision box. Every time the player touches that collision box, it does a little animation bounce and stays down until you step off of it. And each one of those has its own collision box. This technically... you never see that in games, but it adds a subtlety of impact from the world, like a feeling of interactivity. Even everything's as simple as having this lighting. It's a fog that follows you, but the tricky thing is light in games is always additive, and I'm not going to get too technical about explaining that other than to just say it's a pain in the butt, and it's so hard to get right, because you need a tech artist, somebody that understands the technology, that also understands why it's important that it's not just some kind of other form of illuminance. And if you look at other games that try to do something similar to this, many of them can't pull that off. This is built in Unity engine, and you can't do that in Unreal Engine. If you can, please let me know because I want to hire you. If you can get this kind of lighting in a game, because we couldn't figure it out for Twilight Monk. We had it working. It just was technically, it was so expensive on the CPU, it just wouldn't work. And I don't want to make this about comparing things, but there's certainly things that I learned, like trying to do this. Translucency on textures is a real difficult thing to do because it needs to be fully opaque. And so having something like this blur effect in the background that works with the reflective lighting or the ambient additive lighting, there's a lot of technical stuff here, even though it looks like simple 2D on a background. Also, from an artist standpoint, I'm an artist, so I'm going to dissect a lot of this stuff from an artist standpoint. One of the things you're going to notice is the highlight follows with you. So if you look at all the way at the right side of the screen, it's almost like pitch black, right? That means there's this big transparency thing that's following you around. It's stuck to the player. And yes, that's a fully additive multiply, actually, that darkens out everything that's far enough away from the player, illuminating where the player is, thus, therefore, making everything the player does totally clear. The player himself or herself is not actually affected by lighting. Oh my gosh, I'm getting way too technical all of a sudden. From a game design standpoint, the reason why this is here is to let you know, like, you can't even progress if you haven't figured out how to use the attack button. So figure out where the attack button is. There's this solid black in the foreground because it's really hard to create mid-range depth with atmosphere. So the high contrast really creates a distinction between foreground and background. Your brain subconsciously blurs it out. Interesting that the first time you enter this room, it shows you the text for the location, but like it doesn't show you, or it doesn't show it to you again the next time you come through. This is another one of those environment collider animations on these little leaf things, and then they also have the breakability. So that reminds you, hey, guess what? This is a Hollow Knight game. Adding onto edges, or gripping onto edges like that, super, not an easy thing to do, to have the player pop up like that. But it's there, this is here just to teach you that. The enemy was there just, and by the way, super simple enemy, just to teach you how to use your attacks to fight him. These things are here purely for the purpose of giving you something to fire, like shoot up at, to attack up at. This is here just to ensure that you understand variable jump, right? Notice that if you just tap it, you get very little, but if you hold it, you get a lot. So, all this is here to teach you. This is your training level. That's why it's not too difficult. It's not, that guy's there to remind you, like, hey, yo, you might take some damage, and then you might have to attack down. This is here what happens if you jump in the water. Oh, you just float. Low consequences. Very important. Early in like the training level, you want to have low consequences. Hidden rooms to remind you, hey, if you keep exploring, you're going to find stuff like this. I didn't find this the first time I played it. That's really neat. Introduce you to shards very early on. Notice that guy isn't even moving. There we go. I don't know if that was a glitch. Lots of layering on the textures in the background, by the way. Super cool stuff. Introduce you to a slightly harder enemy, but not super hard. Notice the parallaxing on that platform right there. That's about 4 layers. 3 layers. You've got your solid black, you have your mid-range, and then you have your rocks. Oh, and if you miss it, it's not instant death, by the way. Very important. Oh my god. I knew that was going to happen. I'm glad that didn't happen in the middle of a boss or something. Also, great music, great soundtrack. Super impressive visually, super impressive from a gameplay standpoint, too. The things, I'll get to it, but there are things that I don't like about the game, specifically when it comes to difficulty, but I know there's going to be a lot of people that are just staunch supporters of this game, but where were you when people said Twilight Monk was too difficult? That's what I want to know. Because I'm under the impression people don't want a hard game anymore. Because we made a challenging game and nobody, like, came out to fight all the people saying, your game's too hard. Where you at? Where my people's at? Did I just die? Great. I had a little bit of whiskey. Confession time. So that's interesting. You don't even go back to a bench or a save point. I'm surprised they didn't give you a bench right here. They just start you out at the beginning. This is like not even hard. I'm going to skip ahead for you. Don't worry. All right, so here we are back at our cocoon, getting all of our shards. I think they're called shards. Look at these guys. They're just doing stuff in the environment. What are they, gobbling on grass? That's how that came along. Subtle little implication of an illness in this guy. Good storytelling. Stuff like this is really... I don't want to say it's expensive to do, but it's like... A little sequence like that can cause all kinds of problems in your development. And what I mean by that is like... First of all, you don't build your core systems... you don't do that until you've built all your core systems. You don't start adding in narrative things like that until you've built your core systems. But there is it's kind of a trick that they did in, gosh, what was the game? Hyper Light Drifter. Pretty early on, your character just like is sick. And it's very clear that the main character is sick, right? And the point of that is to like give you an immediate sense of like empathy for this character. Like you're a little bit more invested because you're like, well, what's going on with that? Well, we're going to find out. Frayed rosary string. Is there... Oh, that's right back to where we were. So that's a little hidden thing. And again, they want to have low consequences. If you fall, you just lose some progress. You don't, like, die. See, that does go almost all the way to black. That tells me that there's, like, a translucent, like, black screen that follows the player. But when we tried to do that, my tech guys were like, it's too expensive on the system. Simple patterns on these early enemies, by the way. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I forgot about this. You can get through there if you're really skilled, but I'm not. I do have a little bit of lag. So I don't, because I'm playing on my Shadowcast. It's not like a high-end, low latency device. I made a deal with myself. I don't know if I can stick with this, dudes. I need your help to do it. I want to try to do a new video every day. Ooh, nice. I want to try to do a new video every day for this gaming channel. So if you want to see me play more games here on my YouTube channel, on this channel, please do drop that in the comments. Check back regularly. Help me get them views up. Even if you're just going to do something else, just leave it on. I appreciate it. This is important, by the way, the sound cue. Boosh. With the deflection visual. That's the only indicator that you have. You don't have the key to get through there. There's not a way through yet. Notice the shine on these spikes. They're so clean. I really respect that about their art. It's just so clean. And adding a little shimmer to those spikes just draws a little bit more attention to it. These little droplets going on in the background, so atmospheric. Every screenshot looks like they just like took out the enemies and went, I am just gonna go artsy and bonkers with the art before adding, like before shipping this thing. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. So the way that works, by the way, and it's quite brilliant, when we were prototyping our first version of Twilight Monk, we did a thing where when the player drops into the spike pit, they just die and then they have to go back to their save shrine. That was frustrating the hell out of players. So we ended up doing something similar to what they did here, which is another way to do it, which basically there's a spawn point right here, and if the player does not have 0 health, if they don't die there, then they just respawn at whatever designated point. And then there are invisible checkpoints. So like there's probably an invisible checkpoint right at the edge of this, and then the spawn point is right here. So if you die, if you fall into those, then you would come back up here. But if you died because an enemy killed you, you wouldn't respawn here. You'd respawn back at the last save point, right? So there's, by the way, when you start getting into like saving systems, stuff gets real complicated real quick. A lot of people are like, oh, why don't you just add autosave to your game? It's so easy, just flip on the switch for autosaving. Well, guess what? What happens when you autosave your player's money or currency, and then the player buys something and then they die? Well, you have to make sure that they don't get to an exploit where they can like keep the item that they bought and then respawn with all of their gold again. You have to deduct that. Or position purchasable items to have autosaves right when you purchase those items, but you can't be autosaving constantly. You have to autosave after the player dies, gets reset back to a save point, and then it autosaves, just as an example. It's a mind fuck, quite frankly, and it's ridiculous when people say, oh, it's easy, just do this thing or that thing. Like, just add the thing that automatically does the key bindings. That's a big job. And it's got to cover, this is a great example, and it's got to cover how many languages? Does everybody know in the world that Russia has their own keyboard? Because they have letters that on their keyboard that no other country has. And so you've got to account for that. Oh, this is a boss. All right, I'm already intimidated. Oh my gosh, too much alcohol. Okay. No, we got this. Little, they call that a bark, where you can see the telegraphing of where those things are going to fall. Whew. I don't like that there's no health bar for enemies. That bothers me. Some people will say, no, it doesn't need it. Oh yeah, I forgot. If you press down, you do like an angled strike. Also, it's a very subtle thing, by the way. Very subtle thing. Oh my gosh. When enemies hit you, it's very key that they just go right through you. They don't get knocked back. Look at this. And that kind of creates this pressure. By the way, many people might not realize that a lot of the enemies in this game are voiced by the same people that worked on Twilight Monk. My game, that's right. Matt Fitzgerald, he's in the credits of, and his wife, Bo, are in the credits. So that's kind of a fun little tidbit. Most people might not know that. Yeah, they're the legit voice actors, by the way. Let's see. Ooh, another thing I forgot to mention. I was one of the original Kickstarter backers for Hollow Knight back in 2012. I was working on Diablo, and my buddy was like, oh, check out this new game that's like on Kickstarter. And I was like, oh, I love Metroidvania. I've been trying to get a Metroidvania made for years. So I saw the trailer on Kickstarter. There were only 2,100 people that backed it. But what was really shocking is that when Silksong was coming out, this was supposed to be DLC for those backers. And they went ahead and sent me a free copy of this. This is a free copy for me in the sense that, like, I bought Hollow Knight on their Kickstarter for about $8 US. And then I got Silksong for free. But here's the thing, dudes. I mean, this is what's amazing to me about it, and I know I'm rambly. They only got something like $40,000 for their initial Kickstarter. And then they proceeded to spend 7 years making one of the greatest Metroidvanias. Like, arguably, many people will say. Challenging, but, very good. Anyway, and then to do right by those 2,100 people who backed their Kickstarter was so cool of them. And I really admire that. I know it's a small thing. They made millions. They made lots and lots and lots of money. So, but it's still, it's a very cool way to like just kind of honor those people who backed them to begin with, And I really appreciate that. So if you guys are out there, I appreciate it. Appreciate the free Silksong. Up with you, up. I won't have you dying on my floor.
Mimiro.
Awake at last. You should mind your strength, traveler. There's no use wasting energy on an old nobody like me. I see that now, madam. My welcome to your land has not been kind. I had reason to be wary. So you're another pilgrim then, scuttled out of the darkness to climb the great path and bow at its gilded peak. I am no pilgrim. I am Hornet, and I arrived in your land by no choice of my own. I was brought to your kingdom by force, captured by strange bugs, clad in veils. Oh, how curious, the bugs of the citadel at the summit of our land. They veil themselves in service to their faith, or perhaps as slaves to something greater.
Yanara.
Then I shall seek their citadel. If the veiled bugs would go to such lengths to bring me here, I intend to find out why. Oh, ferocious, intimidating. Yours is no pilgrim spirit. You've the bearing of a hunter. Welcome then, fierce traveler, to Valhum, our holy yet haunted land. Before you depart, permit an old bug a brief warning. Best keep that weapon drawn. Our kingdom is gripped by a curse. Its paths grow wild and dangerous, and though some still attempt to climb to the citadel at its crest, none return to speak of what they see. Sounds dangerous. Ascend through the lands of Farlum to reach the citadel at the kingdom's peak. View objectives in the task screen of the menu. What's really interesting about Hollow Knight, and I find this fascinating, the art's beautiful in the world, but the characters on their own independently it's smart. They have to be simple because they have to be animated. Hand animated, by the way. It's not using spine or anything like puppet animation. In fact, look at the boiling on this character. They call that boiling, where you just it's just an idle, it's like a few frames, but then it's drawn. Every frame is individually drawn, so it looks like hand drawn. It's kind of an old animation technique, but whatever the case. If you were to just post the images of like just the character on social media, it's nothing really exciting or interesting. Non-artists don't care about that. What they care about is how the whole thing comes together. And so what was really fascinating to me is like, we did something, sort of a similar stylistic approach with Twilight Monk. We tried to be distinct, both legally distinct for legal purposes, but also distinct in our own way because we wanted to do a different kind of game. Our game is much more inspired by Castlevania, for example, Twilight Monk is. But furthermore, I would say that like when I posted sprites, not a lot of like engagement on social media, but when I post my paintings, I get tons of engagement on my paintings because they're like crazy levels of detail. So I wonder how much that played into this, if these guys were ever sort of like, well, we should do more highly detailed characters, if they ever played around with that idea. Or if it was always from the start decided, like, simple characters so that they pop out from highly detailed backgrounds. Smart move. But at the same time, man, the amount of work that went into these backgrounds is absolutely bonkers. Nice lighting on that, by the way. Another thing it's such a subtlety, but, like, look at that. So there's a light there to implicate that this can't be done in a 2D engine, by the way. It has to be done in a 3D engine like Unity. So there's a light here, and when you enter this volume right here, that light dissipates. Just completely dissolves, which creates this illusion of like your eyes adjusting to your environment. This is also very tricky to do shots like this where your background is really dark up in the top right, and your environment is really like the play area is light. Also notice that gradient that we were looking at a while back when we were looking at that other zone, the gradient itself is not following you as much here. So we don't see that shadowing around the outside rims of the vignetting around the outside of the frame. So this is There's another thing, by the way. They're using edge contrast to really separate that foreground play area from the background, and simultaneously there are loads and loads of collision boxes triggering these animations on bushes and grass patches, and they're all working with this immense number of layers in the ground that are creating this crazy sense of depth. And you have very subtle amount of solid black foreground leaves and whatnot. Nice, interesting that they've got like all these bones in the grass too. There are probably only about, I want to say about 20 assets here, 15 assets, 15 different grass bunches, and a few, yeah, if you look at like bone clusters, look, you can kind of see some repeating going on here. Very subtle though. The art style is very smart, and in fact, I also noticed from a gameplay standpoint, noticed that they don't do 45-degree angles or angled flooring. Everything is done with boxes for collisions, collider boxes, and then the art is all a facade. There's no collisions on the art. The art itself has no collisions. A fellow pilgrim, are you? About to start your great journey to the holy citadel up top? I am no pilgrim, sir, though it seems we will be traveling a similar path. Not a pilgrim? Well, it makes no difference, I suppose. We all must walk the roads up and up, though most of us will fall long before we see the grand gates. If you're wise, you'll stop here and rest a while before heading out into that dangerous world. Yeah, I'll do that a little bit. Well, I already rested. Let's check this out. What's going on in here? Ah, you come to hide down here too then, huh? 'Tis a fearful world out there. If you can keep quiet, I don't mind you joining me. You've chosen a curious place to rest, ma'am. This pit of bells and the structure around it, they suggest a station for travel, though one long abandoned. Aye, rumors in the camp say these bells run through the lands, great veins of them forged by our ancient kin, and some even say bugs used to travel through them in gilded carriages, no less. Surely such fanciful travel would be a sin for us pilgrims. We must walk and climb and crawl using only our own meager claws. Only thus can we prove our devotion. Yeah, this is, by the way, so, gosh, there's so much to talk about here. Their attention to audio is staggering. Like, the closer you get to things... Okay, this is also interesting. Camera volumes. So you walk over here and it makes sure to center you. Look at all these dust particles. There's an absurd amount of dust particles going on here. That's a... Unity uses... So Unreal Engine uses a system called Niagara. Unity, I don't know what the system is called, but... That's a lot of atmosphere. And light beams. There's also a audio and musical component to this game that they put a lot of care into. And I believe that's quite intentional, as the name is Silksong. I think they wanted to play up music and audio because of that factor. Oh, traveler, destined for the citadel, yes. Well, before you embark, won't you stop and make trade with an old pilgrim? I'd see your wares, madam, though I fear I may have nothing worthy to offer in return. Oh, worry not. If you lack fine goods to trade, we can barter still. In this devout land, we deal in the currency of faith. Rosaries, those finely carved beads of prayer. If you will only share some with me, I will trade you something fair. I have some rosaries. Tonight, how come I don't... Oh. I think in my inventory I have... There you go. Frayed rosary. There you go. Oh, 30 of them.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Nothing. I can't buy anything.
Yanara.
What's this you're building, sir? A sign of some kind? Aye, aye, you're a sharp bug. A wish wall. It's past time, this old cramp. This old cramp? This old camp. As the resident fixer, I blah, blah, blah. I missed that, sorry. They're a popular thing about Farloom. Wish walls, too. useful too. So many prayers left unanswered gives them a place to go. Yeah. The thing I admire about Team Cherry is their undying faith in what they're making. I don't know them. I've never met them. I've never talked to them. I've never even watched an interview with them. But I know their journey from the outside looking in. And I've been on a similar journey. And I would say that at times I know my faith in the indie game industry was tested, you know, to keep believing in something you're making even when it seems like nobody's listening and nobody cares, until they do care. And then everybody's like, oh yeah, I was always a big fan, man. Yeah, I was always there, right there for you. You know? By the way, interesting that they had enemies and then they had shells of enemies that use the same shapes, but they have no enemies in them. See that? This head? And then also, by the way, some of them have knockback, others don't. So some enemies will plow right through you, other enemies will like get that knockback when you hit them. So you don't always know what you're going to be dealing with. Oh, I just dropped a bunch of shards. I don't like that. See? I just broke a shell that looked exactly like this thing. And this guy, he plows right through. Look at all the dust plumes, by the way. That's another thing. Very powerful. That's good enemy design. It's big, it's bulky, and it plows right through you. It forces you to move. You cannot just sit there. You cannot just stand there. That interactivity is very key. And it's not something... There's one more thing I wanted to say about that. Oh, ooh, hidden wall. Okay. There's something going on with this game. Oh no, you didn't. You did. You jerks. I just feel tricked. There's something going on with this game that... Look at that. It's forcing you to move. There's something going on with this game that not every indie can do. Like, I don't know if these dudes that made this game just had, like, independent funding. I don't know if they had generous parents that paid for their development. But to spend 7 years making Hollow Knight, with every indication that it won't succeed. Like I said, the Kickstarter had barely made $40,000. That's not enough for 2 or 3 people to live on for 7 years to make a great game. But they did, and their design philosophy is, and this is me purely guessing from the outside looking in as a game developer, they don't work on milestones the way that game developers work on milestones. Game developers, when you get a budget from a publisher, you have to deliver X number of enemies in X number of weeks, X number of levels in X number of time, days, whatever it is, weeks. You have a limited time frame to work on your features and your product, and you don't have the benefit of taking as long as it takes to make it good. But Team Cherry somehow managed to maintain the same philosophy that made old Blizzard games great, which is it takes as long as it takes, and you don't put that on a timeline. Now, the compromise that I had to make with Twilight Monk was to like say, okay, so we'll hit our deadlines, but then after the game that comes out, we'll keep adding to it. We'll keep making updates until the game is legendary, until it reaches that level of, you know, what Hollow Knight did, which I don't think it'll do, but who knows? I don't know. You never know. You just have to do what you love, you know, do the best you can with what you got. And then the next time you make a better version. Oh, hear me pray, please hear me sing, my path's ahead, but there's the thing. I can't squeeze past, O gate of bones, so please wake up and help, oh. Why do you sing, little one? This bony gate seems like a poor audience. Oh, but of course I sing, I am Shurma. a pilgrim just like you. I hear the call of the great citadel just like every other devout soul. But look here, as soon as the sacred journey begins, we are tested. This huge gate stands between us and the way forward. Our only prayer and song will open the way. In this kingdom, even mighty bone is moved by music. Join your voice with mine, Red Maiden. You, me, and my lucky chime will sing together until the great gate opens. Sturdy gate, I don't ask you to break or bend. Just open a little for me and my tall maiden friend. Yeah, I can't sing. That's interesting also, look, like when you press up to interact, the character walks to a position, a designated position marker, then faces the NPC, and then they have the conversation. That little thing, you're talking about days of programming, and then also every NPC has to have a designated point at which, when interacted with, the player walks to and then faces them. This is not something that you can do if you're on a tight deadline. It's like all these extra care. But it is that extra care that makes the game feel special, right? And yet, to a business person, like say a publisher, it's really hard for them to understand or trust that if like the creative mind can't just go to the publisher and say, hey, like we need like an unspecified amount of time to really make this work, you know? Like, see that, how when you get closer the audio gets louder, but when you move away, it's like more quiet. All of those things add up. That's the care, that's the juice, that's the special sauce. All those things add up, and they're all expensive when you add them all up. Like, that one little thing is nothing. But, or even be able to look at that, like slashing that little thing. Like, all those little things add up to where the player goes, wow, this world feels immersive, right? And most publishers, they cannot really like trust that all of those little things will add up to the meaningful thing that makes players go, oh yeah, that is really something special, you know? That is something that's worthwhile. That is something that's purposeful that creates that's something special about it. Once this wish wall is up, bugs will be able to seek help from any able shell around. You could even try granting a couple of wishes yourself, Missy. Okay, so wait a second. Didn't I just do that? Do I need to, like, I'm sure that there's a map salesman somewhere around here. But I don't think I got enough rosaries out of that.
Becca.
Did I get any new rosary? I got 90 now. Mask, shard, craft metal, rosary, string. You'll have to forgive me if I don't know where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm sort of feeling it out as I go. And I've been here before, but look, I gotta do this whole thing again. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, aren't I? I am. I'm gonna frickin'... Come on, dude. Easy kill. Like, there's also a design philosophy conflicts. Look, so... I used to work for a director, and he was very knowledgeable. He had like worked on very famous games, and so he had this philosophy that you never have something like this where the player is obscured. That was an absolute no-no. And some people would say, oh, that's absolutely true, right? You shouldn't. And I'll let people fight in the comments over whether or not you should be able to hide your character in an environment like that, or enemies that go behind hidden, like solid black areas or foreground elements. You know, like, it's the audience is impossible to please, I'll tell you that. Because everybody's kind of got their own opinions about these things as well. But I don't want to say what you should think. I'll tell you what I think. Whee! I already did this, didn't I? Yes. I already got the thing that was at the end of that. See, I don't understand why I don't have a map already. That bugs me. Get it? Because we're playing a game about bugs. So this is interesting. Oh, yeah, of course. It's interesting that that guy just goes right through you. He doesn't even dive at you. He just goes left and right. We've got to go get our... Oh my gosh, I lost all of my beads. I'm not going to be able to live with myself if I don't get my beads back. But I think the shorter route is just to go to the right here. No, he's above me. Oh. And this isn't even the way I'm supposed to go. That's the sad reality. I think I'm supposed to go the other direction. Whoa! I was thinking, oh my god, oh my god, oh. You're not gonna believe what was happening in my brain right there. I thought I was gonna down slam. But the down slam is at an angle. Look at that. There goes all of my beads. So. Okay, so I don't mind difficulty in games. When I was designing my last game, I wanted to have enemies that just kill you right out of the gate, like right at the beginning. And then you're supposed to learn from your death. Because I had been playing Elden Ring, I'm a fan of Dark Souls, I like difficult, challenging games. But as soon as you release something like that, if you don't already have the Dark Souls fan base, or the fan base of people that really like difficult and challenging games, if you don't already have them on your side, your game is dead in the water. Ooh, wait a second. No! Did I just fall all the way down to where I started the game? Alright, I'll fast forward to get back to where I was. Yeah, I found that it was faster to just die and get teleported back to my last save point. That seemed to be, like, that made the most sense. Where do I go? I remember that dude. And I remember that this was blocked off. Can't go through there. You know what? That's an interesting way to test whether or not your game will do well on Steam. Can you play it while you're drinking alcohol? If you can remember where to go or figure out what to do, that's like basically what the average 8-year-old who's going to leave a bad review on your game is going to say. Like, oh, I couldn't figure out where to go. Oh, when I jumped, I couldn't grab onto the ledge or whatever. Like, that's the kind of thing that you can expect. This game got a lot of unwarranted, I think, unwarranted hate for being challenging. But at the same time, audiences change. I found that like every 5 years, every 5 years or so, there's a new generation of players that want really easy games. I think part of it is also if there's a lot of really great games coming out at the same time, people want their games to be easier because they want to move on to the next game. Like, think about this. So right around the time that this came out, think of all the great games that have come out recently. Expedition 33, Metal Gear Solid Delta. Like, not that it's always the same audience, just that, like, if you're coming out at the same time as a lot of really fantastic games, how did I keep dying? My first playthrough, I did better than this. It's the whiskey. I'm playing the whiskey. We'll figure this out. And the funny thing is I've played through this before. I got 2.5 hours in, and I got the map already. It must be the lag. Can I blame the lag? I need a better capture card. I'm just gonna buy it. Maybe I can sell some original art and get a better capture card so that I can play Hollow Knight. Or so I can play Silksong on stream it. I'm not really streaming it though. See, like, I don't know how anybody could do that. I don't understand gaming streamers, especially streamers that play difficult games. I'm so chatty in this video. I used to stream Monster Hunter. And the thing is like, I only looked at the chat after. I only ever looked at the chat after I, like, could rest. I know I've been through here, but, like, I feel like I'm missing something. No? Dead end. If I could look at a map, I could sort of figure out where I'm going, but I can't even... I don't even have a map? I've already been up here. How am I supposed to even figure out... Oh, doy. How did I miss that? Oh, that's something this game does a lot of, is these sort of, like, waves of enemies. Subtle thing, by the way. Also, they hit each other. Did you notice that? They hit each other and then they hit walls. And they try to go horizontally. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Bro. I do like the feel of that ping pong, or what do you call it? Pogo. Ah, yeah, pogo off of the skeleton. They do that a lot. They have little arenas like this a lot throughout this game. I remember that. Let's go to the left first because... Wait a second. I've been here. Yeah, that's that hole. I don't want to go that way. I want to go this way. Because it's the other side of that door. There we go. See? Look at that. And also, each one of those hammer things in the background is unique. Look, the crack is different on them. Actually, that one's a mirror of that one. But this one over here is different. So they put the care into, like, not being too repetitive with their graphics. Hoy, did you see it, Red Maiden? The Great Gate heard my song and its infinite and ancient kindness has opened the way forward for us. Gate, 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 nicest gate I've met. Gate, 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 greatest miracle yet. They deserve the love they get. I'm jealous, but they deserve the love they get. As a game developer, it's like, I know a lot of people who dream of the success of something like Hollow Knight, but they don't have the, how do I say it? They don't have the faith required. And that's not a criticism, it's just like, it's hard, man. It's like to believe in your thing to that degree of commitment. As the whole world is saying, nah, dude. And then also, by the way, the expectations. This game had expectations. So this is another instance of the collision. Look at that. Every one of these pieces of this bone falls a little bit, like a little bit of impact on it. And it's really difficult to do these kind of effects that you're seeing on the lava on the ground. These embers floating up. The fog. Oh boy. Different sounds depending on the surfaces that you're walking on. Are you kidding me, bro? You hear that difference? Oh, sure. Okay, he lands in the lava and explodes in a ball of flame. That's a lot of care, you know? And that's the thing I'll say. It's like, most indies can't do that. You gotta deliver by when the publisher said that milestone was due. You're not thinking like, oh, we better have a little bit of sand that like falls when you walk on the platform so it feels tactile, so it feels like... Some people have a problem with the floating islands though. Look at this, little floating platforms. But the thing that I've learned is like, it's always gameplay first, art second. What serves gameplay always first. Always, always first. Oh yeah. There's like a platform here, like a train or something of sorts. You know what, dudes? Respawning enemies? Oh, you guys are gonna get some negative reviews for that. We certainly did. Okay. I think the best thing to do is to go back to my save point, and I am going to end this episode for you guys right here. There's a lot here. There's a lot to unpack, and I'm just scratching the surface. Oh, this is neat. Check this out. Watch. You can bonk these things. It sounds different because it's a bigger bell. You know, I've interviewed for jobs before at game studios, and I told them like, it's all, I was saying the same thing that I'm saying in this video. It's all the little details. They all add up to make something special. That's when players feel that they've got something special in their hands. And I've lost jobs opportunities, I won't say at what studios, because they strongly disagreed with that philosophy. But I'll tell you, like, I get it. Like, I'm a gamer. I notice these subtleties, these differences. I totally see why this game has sold as well as it has. It's bonkers how well it's sold. Is it something every indie can do? No, it's not. Is it something you could do right now? I don't know. If you have infinite money, or you can put... Look at that. It's even a different sound. That's the kind of stuff people do when they're just like playing around in the world and they feel immersed. It's like, how do you trick the player's mind into feeling like they're living in this drawing, this painted world? It's all very neat stuff. Love this game so far. Again, I do know that at some point it's going to be too difficult for me, but at least until then, I'm going to record it. I'm going to have a good time with it. Thanks for stopping by. And let me know what your thoughts are on Silksong in the comments below. How far did you get? Let me know. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, chat.